Unhelpful advice with Bobby
Oh, shit.
Kalila in the desert.
Hey, Tiger Belly. I'm a 24-year-old graphic designer from Greece. I'm suffering from a form of self-destructive OCD for the last 15 years of my life, meaning that I overthink everything about my profession too many times to the point that I'm never satisfied with my work.
Oh, my God.
And I'm really harsh on myself and my results, even though I've been working in the industry since I was 21 for the likes of Nike, Hugo Boss, and other companies. My design pieces get a lot of attention both in the public and professional circles, but that doesn't seem to help me relax or settle down to find my personal serenity. I heard so many times on your podcast about Bobby always being tough on himself, even though he's one of the best comedians out there. I always wondered, how did he cope with this self-doubt, and how did he learn to stand on his feet? Do you have any advice on how to find some self-love for myself?
Listen to me.
Yeah.
The other day, I drive to Burbank to do ADR for Magnum PI. I'm in this. So when you do ADR, it's basically when you're shooting something and, a plane flies by and they can't get a clean audio on something, you have to go back later and do it in a studio. So what they do is you go into a sound studio. They have this gigantic screen out there, and you have a sound engineer in another room, and they have either what they call there's a streak where the streak will come in, and as soon as it matches, you have to start talking, right? And then they do 3 beats before you talk. So beep, 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 boom, right? And I was watching myself, and I literally stopped everything, and I turned away, because I also have the producers on Zoom, and I'm screaming, that's what you chose? Right? I'm so critical of myself, right? On how I look. Who's the makeup? It's like, you see fucking liver spots on my face on the screen, right? And, and I do it in a funny way where everyone's laughing. I don't do it in a hostile, negative way. They love it, right? Because that's just who I am. But there is, a big, it really is a very difficult thing to look at, because it's like I'm so judgmental of myself, and I'm so harsh on myself. And there are times where I think, how the fuck am I working? I really think that, And what my therapist says is, let's look, you have your inner dialogue, right? But then you have reality. And let's just look at the facts. And the facts are, they keep asking you to do that show, right? That was my 7th one, right? Yeah, I just got a big movie. I'm not going to talk about it, but then I'm going to Hungary in May. I can say that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to Hungary in May. I'm doing a kind of a blockbuster movie. Mm-hmm. I have small scenes in it, but it's a huge thing. And I sent in an audition, right? They called me back and they said, you got the job, right? These are factual things that are actually happening, right? And then you have this other thing in my head that's happening. You know what I mean? And it's like, I struggle between the two things, but sometimes I just have to take a step back and go, what's real? Yeah, and the reality is that I'm working, I'm getting work, and my perception of myself should not be in play. In fact, my therapist said I can't do this anymore, which is what I do is after a scene, I do this every time. After a scene, they go, okay, we're moving on. In show business, the director never goes, after they do a scene, they never walk up to you and they go, great job. They don't do anything. They go like this, all right, we're moving on, let's go. And then you're like left there, right? And so what I used to do is, after every scene, just kind of hang out at Video Village. Video Village is where the director and sometimes an editor and a producer's there, and they're looking at all when you're doing it, you know what I mean? Sometimes I hang out there with my hands in my pocket just so that I can find some little inkling of how I did, right? Or sometimes I'll go to an actor and I'll go, that was pretty good. It was okay, right? And just try to fish for some sort of, acknowledgement and I'm not allowed to do that anymore. My therapist says, as soon as you're done with your scene, you don't ask, you just go home, right? Because it has nothing to do with you. Because if they're moving on, they have it, right? So it's like there's these little things that because I'm so sensitive, and I want that fucking acknowledgement or some sort of verbal, cue that I'm doing fine. And at the end of the day, it just feeds into You mean that part of myself that I don't want to give any energy or food to, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
I was watching, and this is so cheesy, but I was watching American Idol. So what?
Oh, so cold here.
I know, me too.
It's cold there.
There's
I'm
no.
sweating.
Yeah.
I am in my
and there was a
cowboy boots.
contestant. She did a very good job, and Katy Perry asked her, "Where do you gig?" And she's like, "I don't gig because I get nervous. I freak out, even when I'm singing for my parents and my family because I just get so nervous, you know, and I don't want to fail." And then Lionel Richie says, and this is something that I'd heard years ago, and I don't know why, it just, you know, rehearing it struck a chord with me. And Lionel Richie goes, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone."
Edge.
At the edge of your comfort zone. And all those moments where I'm
The only reason I corrected him, by the way, is because he used this on me last week when I was feeling really down.
I used Lionel Richie.
And it was
Thanks,
so funny because I actually watched that episode with him when Lionel said that. And when I was having a meltdown last week, he was like, "Sweetie, I want to say one thing to you." He goes, "This is why I'm so proud of you." He's like, you know, so and so, edge of your comfort zone. And in my head, I was like, he just took that from Lionel.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate it,
Yeah.
and for reminding me.
But let me talk about that though. It's like there's a lot of things where, like, the other day I put in an audition for a movie that I didn't get.
Right.
But I remember putting it in, sending it, and then I remember I was pacing around the bedroom,
Yeah.
and Kalila goes, "You did it," you know what I mean? And you did the best you could, and it looks good, you know what I mean?
I didn't
And-
even need to say that. I didn't because that's our new thing. I'm not allowed to give you
Right.
Is it bad or is it good comments anymore?
No
Yeah.
feedback.
No feedback. It's kind of like you did it. That was the best you
That's
could
it.
do.
But you
Send
know,
it in.
I sent it in, and but the notes on it was good. Like, people liked it. I just wasn't right for the part.
Also, I wouldn't have let him send it in if it wasn't good. Do you know what I mean?
That's
yeah,
the truth, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I knew that. She already seen it. So my point is that those feelings, like, I'm nervous about May. I really am. I think about it a lot. I go, you know, the last big movie I was in was The Dictator, which, you know, in terms of when you show up on a set and you go, oh my God, there's like real, like the first day I shot on The Dictator, I was in a makeup trailer with Ben Kingsley, Anna Faris,
That's
Ed
crazy.
Norton, and Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I was at the end, and they were in a row in the same trailer. And I remember going, "What are you doing here?" in my mind. You don't belong here. That's my voice. That's my inner voice. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch, you piece of shit.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I'm nervous about it, but you know what? I'm going to go in, do the best I can, and even if I'm nervous, I'm going to ride through it and overcome it, and I'm going to rise to the occasion. Right? And if I don't and I fail, that's okay too. That's okay too. So, but here's the one thing that's the most important. I'm going to do it. You know, a lot of people go, "I'm too scared," or "I'm not going to try," or all that kind of stuff. The one thing about me that I have to say that I love about myself is that even though I hate myself, and even though this is even through stand-up, right? When I was 23, when I started doing stand-up, and I think I was a piece of shit and all that negative shit that's in my head, right? The one thing that I know about myself is that I'll do it anyway. You know what I mean? And I'll try my best.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say
That's the
to
most
this
important thing.
guy. It's like, no matter if you have like the most desired outcome or if you feel like you fail, you're gonna keep doing it anyways, right? Because you've been doing it since since you were 21 years old.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like you're quitting anytime soon.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a passion for doing this because you work so hard at it. So it's like, no matter the outcome, you've already chosen that path. So just let go of all the other noise. Let go of all the other bullshit.
Like they say in AA, let go and let God.
Because like self-flagellation, I thought was like the most interesting part about me. Like where I was like, is that how you say it, George?
No, I was just like interesting that was the most interesting part about you.
I thought that I was like, I'm so hard on myself. Like that whole perfectionism thing. Like I thought that was the most interesting part about myself because it's what kept me in line and being this like do-gooder and succeeding. You know what I mean? Like being an athlete. It just I realized soon after that it was the number one reason why I was suffering for so long. It was the number one thing that was holding me back from actually living out my dreams and putting pen to paper and just having some sense of like, self-worth and all of that. So it's like, stop flogging yourself. It's not cute anymore. It's also not worth it. And it's also exhausting and it just doesn't do anyone any good.
Can I share an aphorism my favorite professor at Columbia
Thanks
told
for
me?
listening.
Please. Yes, I want to hear
Nick
it.
Preferis, he
fuck.
always said, like, perfect is the enemy of good.
Mm.
And it's one of those things where if you like think about it, like, yeah, if you're seeking perfection, then you never do anything that's good because you're too busy trying to be perfect.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks.
That's a good one.
Hey, man. Hey, this is a great producer.
Yeah.